Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Sword Bard Arcane Archer multi-class build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a requested build, and there's actually quite a bit of synergy here, which I'll be showcasing in this video. Now, the reason we'd like to multi-class this is the Sword Bard is actually one of the best archers in the game, with their slashing flourish letting them attack 2 targets with 1 single attack. This is a fantastic boost for overall damage, but there's also a lot of other synergies here. So I think the best choice, if we want to get the Constitution saving throw proficiency, starting fighter gives that to us, so that's a good choice here. We also get the defense fighting style here for the +1 armor class, great for survivability. And we're going to want to put our points. Now, intelligence is the Arcane Archer's spellcasting ability. However, we can actually get our Arcane Acuity another way. So the best stat spread to go with would be to go with 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, and then to put the rest of the points into our Charisma here. So we're going to take this up to 16. So 16 Charisma, 10 Intelligence and Wisdom, 14 Constitution, and 16 Dexterity. Skill proficiencies as follows there. Now, once we add in the Bard, we're going to add Charisma to our spellcasting again, and then we can also add in something else a little bit later on if you'd like. And with this, at level 2, we actually get to take Action Surge, which is massive. And level 3 is the big one, because this is when we get the arcane shots. Now, I have a little bit of unfortunate news here. We are not going to take too many levels in the Arcane Archer, because here's the reason. At level 7 is when they get their next ability, and it's not even really that amazing of an ability. We actually get much more bang for our buck taking the Sword Bard up to level 6 at least. So we're going to go with 3 levels of the Arcane Archer at first, take the cantrip Guidance, great cantrip. Now, banishing shots need the Arcane Acuity to function, but we can also get that as mentioned another way, so we can get our Arcane Acuity up to be able to land this. I also like to have the Seeking Arrow to guarantee that you'll hit a target with it, and Piercing Arrow is kind of a trick because Sharpshooter doesn't apply to it, but on top of that, if you're going to use an arrow of many targets, it's going to have a much higher damage potential anyways, so Bursting Shot can be nice, or the Blinding Shadow Arrow there, which can apply blind for 2 turns. Depends on if I like to have the Bursting Arrow for the extra damage in an area of effect. But yeah, we're going to go with that there. Unfortunately, the Arcane Archer doesn't get much else, again, till level 7. So at this point, we're adding in the Bard. We're going to take the Vicious Mockery cantrip because we can cast this as a bonus action. And we'll also take Mage Hand because we can use this to throw health potions or water bottles at our team. And then for our next spells that we'll select, I would recommend having Healing Word for if there's a team that goes down. We also have Thunder Wave to be able to push back all enemies. We're going to go with the Long Strider to increase movement speed for our team, and then Tasha's Hideous Laughter or Dissonant Whispers. Now, we are mostly going to want to do weapon attacks here, so kind of the reason we went with some of those spells there. Jack of all trades adding half proficiency bonus to abilities we're not proficient in, and an extra heal with Song of Rest, giving it an extra short rest, which is actually really good. Now, for our next level here, we're going to take Dissonant Whispers, and into level 3 is when we get to choose our subclass with the College of Swords. So this is what we want to mix the Arcane Archer with the College of Sword Bard. This gives us Slashing Flourishes, arrow attacks on 2 targets, which is extremely effective. And you can also use this to teleport yourself to a target or to increase your armor class by 4. Really useful abilities here, so the College of Sword is great. We'll also take the Dueling feat here, or fighting style, because we want to use an armor class boosting shield, and this will give us extra damage on our main hand weapon. For our next level spell, Hold Person is by far the best because we can get up close in their face and then use a guaranteed hit because they're bound there. And critical hits always land. Use arrow of many targets at close range, and it's actually absurd the amount of damage you can do because a critical hit on the first arrow of an arrow of many targets, it'll crit everyone. So it gets insane the amount of damage that we can do. Now, once we make ourselves to level 4 here, we get our first feat of the game. It's obviously delayed quite a bit, but we're going to go with Minor Illusion there. And then for our spell, we're going to go with Clouded Daggers can be good because it can actually do pretty decent damage in area of effect. And for the feat, I would recommend going with Alert for the +5 to initiative, or Sharpshooter. Now, Sharpshooter, we do get a little bit of a weapon penalty, but if you have an Oath of the Crown Paladin, they can offset that for you a little bit. But what this means for us is we get extra 10 damage, and this extra 10 damage can be crazy powerful on something like an Arrow of Many Targets, which will apply the +10 damage to every enemy. If you don't like this, boost your Dexterity with an ability score improvement, taking the Dexterity up to 18. That'd be probably the best choice there. Level 5, we get ourselves another spell. Glyph of Warding, especially if you're a half-elf, but you can put the Sleep Glyph at your feet, knock everyone around you to sleep. It's also like a mini fireball. Level 6 gives us our extra attack, and this is where we get a lot of extra damage out of this. And we're going to add in the other to Plant Growth, because you can use this to crowd control or fear. 2 great spells there. And now, at this level, we get a decision to make. I personally think from testing, we could go with another choice. If we go back to the fighter here, this will give us another feat, which we could use to take like Crossbow Expert if we want to do close range attacks and use a crossbow, or an ability score improvement. However, one little trick that we could use is an addition of a spell or a class that is extremely powerful in patch 8. This is the Hexblade Warlock. Since we're Charisma based, we can then use Charisma for our attack rolls, which is the same as our Dexterity, not a massive benefit, but we also get the Shield spell, which the Bard doesn't get access to Shield, and now it does. This also can give us a like Hellish Rebuke or Hex, which will increase our overall damage output quite a bit, and even Armor of Agathis, which will deal damage to attackers. So this could be good just to overall boost ourselves up. But the reason we want to take this is, I guess, 2 reasons. Booming Blade, huge boost to our damage. Eldritch Blast, which is nice, but it's a level 2 ability that we get Eldritch Invocations here with Devil's Sight. Now, the reason I want to take this is because now we can use Arrows of Darkness, attack an enemy, run up to them. We get advantage on our attack rolls because we can now see in darkness and they can't. There's only 2 bosses in the game, Yurgir and Raphael, that can see through darkness. So as long as we don't use this tactic against them, we're going to be home free because then you can run in and get an advantage on your next attack at melee range. Huge boost to overall damage. I also like to take Repelling Blast because Eldritch Blast, we can shoot 3 beams. We can push 3 enemies back. So it's a nice boost too, gives us another option in combat, and then we're going to go with the Armor of Agathis or Hellish Rebuke spell. So the reason I wanted to take those 2 levels is just because it gives us such a massive boost, and we don't actually need to take the, you could, I guess, if you wanted to go Pack the Chain, get the Quizite there, but we could also, I guess, you could take Shadow Blade, which is a really powerful spell, but this is the option you're going to go between either the extra feat from taking the Fighter, or if you want to maximize damage, Shadow Blade's obviously the most powerful. I'm going to go with the Fighter here, but again, Shadow Blade, I know a lot of people really like it. We'll then go with an increase to our Dexterity there, or the Alert feat for the +5 to our Initiative. Dexterity will give us better armor class, initiative, and attack rolls, which we want because we took the Sharpshooter feat, so we need to offset those. And this outfit is part of the Ethereal Threads mod. As far as gear goes, there's actually a lot of really good pieces here. The our Helmet of Arcane Acuity will give us a +10 to our spell save DC. So currently we're running with a not very high one, 16 there. This can be boosted up to 26 for landing spells, but also can apply to our arcane shots, so we can land our banishing shots a little more easily. We also have the Cloak Protection there, boost our armor class, or the Deathstalker Mantle for your Dirge. Best armor in the game, Ballast Armor. This will double our arrow attacks at close range, so if we apply a hold person on an enemy, we get a free critical hit on them, and we run up close to them. We guarantee that we land the shot, we get the critical hit off, and using an arrow many targets, it spreads it to more targets, and they all get critical hits. Every attack is a critical hit if you start an arrow many targets on a crit. So, crazy synergy here, because the double damage from the Ballast Armor is so good. Now, you can go with really any other choices for armor, because we have heavy armor proficiency, so best available, I'm going light armor just because it's so crazy the damage output, but you can even pop on like the armor persistence there and get your armor class up to like 26 there. Armor of Agility will put it to 27, but the Ballast Armor gives you a huge boost to our damage, so it's worth taking that. Helldust Gloves will give us a bonus to our spell save DC and fire damage on our attacks. You can also use the Dark Justiciar Gauntlets, or even the, if you got the Shadow Blade, you use the Gloves of Battle Mage's power to boost Arcane Acuity instead of using the helmet. Boost of Stormy Clamor will give you 2 turns of Reverberation when you apply a condition on a target. If you get the Illithid Ability Drain, you're going to apply those there, which is crazy because Reverberation can knock targets prone. You could also go with the Evasive Shoes, Helldusk Boots, or even early game the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. I also have the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel here because this allows us to do bonus action, hold persons, and things like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which is crazy after a weapon attack. I have the Ring of Protection there to boost our armor class. You could also go with the Killer Sweetheart for the free crit. Caustic Man to add additional acid damage on your attacks. If you're going to use Booming Blade, Ring of Arcane Synergy will add your Charisma modifier to your attacks. You can even use the Ring of Free Action to move around a little bit more freely, or the Ring of Mental Inhibition to apply mental fatigue on targets. So those are the best rings available there. Gaunter Mail for the bow, because you can apply haste to yourself, and this haste doesn't give you lethargy, which is huge because you can apply this to yourself and you get extra movement speed and extra action. It's the best bow in the game. Now, if you don't want to use that, if you want to prefer using something like the Deadshot to increase your critical hit chance, this is great. It applies increased crit chance to everything that you do. Hellrider Longbow will give you a bonus to your initiative, and if you're using a strength potion, the Titan String Bow will be the strongest because it adds your strength modifier to the damage, which is probably the best choice if you're using a strength potion. I'm going to for the purpose of this build because it puts your strength modifier to +8, which is a huge boost to your overall damage, especially with the Titan String Bow. Now I have Nyrulna for the extra movement speed here. The best available early game would be Father Aluve, the longsword that can give you the Shrieking Song benefit because you can apply this to the entire enemy team. There it is. And this will give them debuffs and apply extra thunder damage on the attacks. If you go with the evil playthrough, you can go with the Shard Sphere of the Evening to give yourself the ability to see in Magic of Darkness without having to take the Warlock dip. If you want to use a two-handed sword, Chaos works, but we got the boost from the Bard, so we want to use a shield and attack with a weapon like that. You can also use with the, I guess, Shadow Blade as mentioned if you took the extra level in the Warlock. I think either going with the Knife of the Undermountain King or going with Nyrulna would be our best choices here. Now, this will give us an extra boost to our advantage on attack rolls and also make it so that we can't roll low attacks and reduce the number we need to roll a critical hit. So this is actually really good boosting ones for our melee or ranged attacks in addition to melee. Viconia's Walking Fortress, best available shield. And the reason we're going with all this together, I will now show off in the combat section because we can do quite a bit on one turn of combat. All right, so our first turn of combat, actually, there's a really good situation here where we can do a slashing flourish and hit multiple targets at a time. Why this is good is because sometimes we're able to take out both targets here with a single attack. We'll go for that there, critical hit. We actually took out both of them, exactly what we wanted. Now, next up, we want to get, we want to be able to apply as much spell casting as we can do, like with a hold person or something like that. So we need to get our Arcane Acuity up. We're going to go with a bow attack here. We don't have the greatest hit chance, I guess, against this target we'll go against here. And this is going to ping around to multiple targets. We actually get a critical hit on all of them as mentioned there. So that dropped 2 targets, and this gets our spell save DC up to 26 there. So we got the plus 10 Arcane Acuity. This means that our spells like Hold Person, 95% hit chance, as you can see there. Much more likely to land. And we can do this as a bonus action because we have the Band of Mystic Scoundrel. So I'd actually recommend going ahead with another Arrow of Many Targets because this is just a super effective ability. This target has 80% hit chance, and this is a target we want to get taken out. And we took them out somehow with that single hit there. We're applying Reverberation too with our attacks, which is massive. This target needs to go, so I guess what we can do is a slash. This is a cool trick, is we actually have these slashing flourishes that we can do a single attack on this target and then a single attack on this target. So you can shoot 2 arrows. That was enough to take him out. 42 damage critical hit. Yeah, we're doing absurd damage numbers. Now here's where it all comes together because now we can go with a Hold Person, and then if we hit a target that's close to us with Hold Person, we can then get an Arrow Many Targets off on multiple targets at a time. Or we can, I guess we'll just use the single one here on this target here. So Hold Person, boom, 95% hit chance. Yeah, it's landing. And then with that, we have the nice ability to use Arrow of Many Targets, Aura of Murder, pretty much a one-shot against them. So the damage becomes insane. As you can already see, it's wiping enemies out left, right, and center. As mentioned, yeah, they're stuck in place now. This likely isn't going to hit them with an Arrow of Many Targets, but I just want to show it off if it randomly does. Because that critical hit, yeah, 64 damage. Insane damage numbers. With Hold Person giving you the free crits, that basically turns your, especially with the Ballast Armor doubling your damage, the Sharpshooter benefit becomes a plus 20 damage. Your critical hit damage is insane. I didn't even use Action Surge last turn, and I would have cleaned up the entire encounter just because of how powerful the Titan String Bow alongside using Sharpshooter is, and Arrow Many Targets. Yeah, that was laughably easy. Super strong, a little bit too strong, I would say, just because the Sword Bard is so good. Arrow Many Targets, the Arcane Acuity had. I didn't even get to use Banishing Shot, but that's a good thing if you have a target that you just don't want to deal with. It removes them from the battle for 2 turns. And then we also have the Seeking Arrow if we need to guarantee a hit. Like you've seen some of those hits there were 40% chance. This will ensure that you do land your shots. Bursting Arrow if there's a lot of them grouped together. But you've got lots of different options. It's shown you can even do a melee attack to hit multiple targets. This is a very strong build, and I hope you enjoy. If you did, please consider subscribing. Hope you have a great day. We'll catch y'all in the next video.